The face of a nation. Geopolitical struggles, immeasurable wealth, cross-border tensions, groundbreaking deals, political intervention, the future of football, and one superstar. Kylian Mbappe, arguably the best football player on the planet, finally make it to his dream destination at the start of the next football season. In what was the worst kept secret in football, and now confirmed by Fabrizio Romano with a "here we go," Mbappe will be finishing up his time at PSG and will be joining Real Madrid at the end of the season. While undoubtedly he's in the elite tier, the Mbappe transfer saga had a bunch of dramatic twists and turns along the way. One thing that has been overlooked in this whole saga is how Mbappe managed to navigate his way to the top. So let's look together at the critical points in Mbappe's career and how he has ensured that he got to have his cake and eat it too. Now let's get into it. Before we can get into Mbappe's trajectory into superstardom, we need to look back in 2011 and the landscape of French football. PSG were a middle-of-the-road team with only 2 league titles in the French Ligue 1 in a 40-year period. Similar to Roman Abramovich with Chelsea in 2004, Manchester City in 2008, PSG were about to be acquired and have a new daddy give them their pocket money. Enter the Qatar Sports Investment, also known as the QSI, which decides to purchase the majority stake into PSG for 70 million euros, which now in retrospect seems absolutely absurd. QSI is part of the Qatar's Sovereign Wealth Fund, also known as the QIA, which has now an estimated wealth of $475 billion. A big part of their investment strategy is using sports to gain favor with other countries in the midst of controversies or scandals, most commonly known as sports washing. Qatar has been arguably the most successful in achieving this in recent history, with having one of the greatest World Cup displays ever in 2022, despite their horrid working conditions for their migrants. Qatar were also looking to increase their geopolitical foothold and have done so by investing in other countries, including Qatar investing $10 billion into France by 2013. 2017 was an absolute wild year for soccer transfers. It was really the catalyst for how obscene the transfer market is these days. Where everything really kicked off was when PSG paid £212 million for Neymar to join PSG from Barcelona. When Neymar, who was the hottest property on the market and was considered to be the successor of Messi, moved from Barcelona to PSG, it created a domino effect of the transfer market. But in the same transfer period, PSG didn't just spend money on the biggest ever transfer in football history, but they also brought in a French teenager with a high ceiling. Mbappe was purchased for a paltry €180 million, making him the biggest transfer for a teenager ever and the second biggest transfer ever still there to this day. He was purchased from Monaco, who managed to disrupt PSG's reign over the Ligue 1 title. PSG not only managed to get stronger, but they also made their greatest rivals at the time weaker. With this move, Mbappe also increased his salary from just over €1 million a year to €18 million a year. And he was living the high life, having a great relationship with Neymar and killing it at PSG. The year is 2018 and Mbappe's stock continues to rise. He is now named the Ligue 1 Player of the Year and is one of the best players in the 2018 Russian World Cup. Just a fun side note, here are some pictures of me at the Australia vs France game in Russia. Mbappe was one of the key players that led France to winning the World Cup, their first one since 1998, and being also named FIFA World Cup's Best Young Player award. In the halftime talk in the final against Croatia, the French coach Didier Deschamps tells his team that if all else fails, get the ball to Mbappe. Mbappe's stock continues to rise. In 2022, Mbappe is considered one of the best players in the entire world, but has felt disrespected because of the league he's been playing in. The French league is affectionately known as the Farmers' League to outsiders, because PSG typically walk all over the competition, winning the league 10 times since QSI took over the Parisian team. So it's time for him to move to his dream club, where he's been courted by the allure, arguably by the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid, and also by the greatest president in football history, Florentino Perez. Mbappe enters his last year of his contract, which typically when the big decisions are made. The hottest commodity in football now has a big decision. Does he stick around at PSG or does he get tempted by his love interest of Real Madrid? Well, at the time, it wasn't only his opinion that was being taken into account. Enter Nasser Al-Khelaifi, the president of PSG and a Qatari national, who was known to spit the dummy when things don't go his way. When Mbappe was letting Nasser know that he was leaving, let's just say he didn't take it particularly well. He kept a hard line, refusing to listen to any negotiations with Real Madrid, including a €160 million transfer that would have gone directly to PSG. Another player in this game was none other than the president of France, Emmanuel Macron. That's right, the French president had nothing better to do than to work on intervening on keeping their superstar in France. It's not like France had more pressing issues at the time to deal with. Macron did everything in his power to keep Mbappe at PSG, including he had direct conversations with Mbappe, he propped him up as a symbol of national pride, he mentioned publicly that he would advise him as president to remain in France. But this also did serve Macron. Macron understood the economic implications of Mbappe's presence in Ligue 1. His stay would ensure high levels of viewership, sponsorship, and revenue for French football, which in turn benefits the national economy. And as one of the most high-profile football clubs, PSG's success bolstered by keeping Mbappe aligning with broader national interests. The economics weren't just about football though, they also took into account the greater relationship between France and Qatar. This included strategic partnerships like the one between Vinci Construction, a French company that Qatar had invested to build the Doha Metro. Total Energies have investments with Qatar Energy on significant projects. Dassault Aviation, a French aerospace company, supplied Qatar with fighter jets. Alstom, a French company that supplied trains and signaling systems to the Doha Metro. As of 2024, Qatar had already agreed to invest another 11 billion into French startups. Macron wanted to keep a strong relationship with Qatar, and this is why he was getting involved. So after all of this, PSG refusing Real Madrid's offer, all the pressure from PSG and the president of France, surprisingly Mbappe re-signs. That does come to a shock, but once you hear the deal that PSG offered, you'll understand. A €100 million signing bonus, 50 million per year in wages after taxes, significant control of his image rights, a leadership role within the team, and sporting influence and direction within PSG. The last thing he was offered was a 3-year agreement set as a 2+1, meaning he had the option to stick around if he wanted to come 2024. 1 year into his contract, and surprise, surprise, Mbappe decides not to extend his contract, meaning that he can leave for free at the end of the year. PSG president Nasser Al-Khelaifi freezes Mbappe out from the first team during pre-season, as tensions rise over the refusal to sign a new contract or trigger the 1-year extension. Mbappe trained separately from the main squad. And now another player has entered the game. Al Hilal, a Saudi Arabian club, looks to put in a bid for Mbappe. Al Hilal offered PSG €300 million, and they offered Mbappe a ridiculous wage of €700 million for the year. That is a weekly salary of €13.4 million. Not only that, Mbappe's contract would only last 1 year. Saudi Arabia are willing to spend $1 billion for 1 year for Mbappe playing in Saudi Arabia. PSG want to recoup some of their money, and Al Hilal are giving PSG a way out. Similar to Qatar, they also engage in sports washing. As part of their broader vision plan, Saudi Arabia aims to enhance their international image, which has been affected by controversies such as human rights violations, the use of capital punishment, and restrictions on political freedom. Saudi Arabia has focused this recently with boxing, also acquiring Newcastle. They've also really been focusing on the Saudi Pro League, bringing in some names like Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, Kante, Mahrez, and Neymar. Despite the insane amount of money that is being offered to Mbappe, he decides to refuse to join Al Hilal and remain at PSG for one final year. 2024. Khelaifi and Macron are up to their old ways, trying to keep Mbappe at PSG. This includes pressuring Mbappe, not selling him to Real Madrid, one of PSG's main rivals. Now I can assure you on this one, PSG don't even pop up on Real Madrid's radar.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are.
Khalifi also said that it would legitimize the European Super League, something that is not going to happen and is long dead. And also, most recently, they have not paid Mbappe for the last 2 months. Meanwhile, Real Madrid are already on top of the world, winning the Champions League once again and bringing in arguably the best player in the world to join their team. Thank you so much for your time. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Also, if you want me to talk about any other topic that you find interesting in the world of business, politics, economics, sport, please leave a comment below.